get into the Usyk and Fury presser and what we managed to deduce from it. What we managed to deduce from it, Spence, is that apparently talkSPORT is still banned. How could that possibly be? Who could have achieved that for us?
Do you know what? We only found out on the day, actually, a couple of hours before we were going. The day before we was going, and a couple of hours before we found out we was banned. But we done the undercard.
What's the matter with these children?
You tell me about it. Like,
I mean, how childish
I don't understand what it is.
What do you think about a major sports platform? Put aside personalities, whether people like me have upset people, but what do you think about a major broadcaster saying things that you don't agree with, but being banned from events? Do you think that's a potentially grown-up, serious look to have? Or do you think it's just a consequence of, I'll tell you what, you out, not having any of your nonsense?
I just think maybe Tyson's at a point in his life where he's like, if he doesn't want something to be there, he's made hundreds of millions. It's just down to his day. But I just think that relationships can be repaired. I think it might take you having a chat with him over a cup of tea.
Well, he can blow it out of his arse. Nothing's been said that's been controversial. Nothing's been said that's disrespectful. Tyson Fury can't run around saying what he wants and then no one comes back at him. And I know that Frank wants everyone to factor in that he's got bipolarity and everything should be factored into that equation, so he can never say anything pleasant. You can only say anything unpleasant things. I would just like to, I picked Tyson Fury to win this fight. I'd like to see him win the fight. Yeah. And I just think it's a bit silly and childish to continue banning people. But I also, in fairness, Sam, when people got on my nerves at football clubs like journalists, I did throw them out of press conferences and I did ban
So you
them.
understand it? You totally understand it.
But that's me, but that's me and that's them.
When you have dough though, you've earned loads of dough. You can.
It depends. Listen, it depends if someone steps across a line. If someone nobody in the talkSPORT building said anything derogatory about Tyson Fury.
Yeah.
What was said about Tyson Fury was a question raised by Oleksandr Usyk. This is well rehearsed. Usyk's team accused him of ducking the fight.
Yeah.
The question was posed on the platform by Usyk's management. The people on the building said if he did do that, then it would be wrong. End of conversation. No one heard anything about it. Up pops the Ngannou fight. Everybody starts going, this is a fight. Why is the WBC heavyweight champion of the world getting involved with an MMA fight?
Had that opinion.
And all of a sudden it became, hang on a second, we're going to ban talkSPORT because we said something 6 months earlier, which is completely different.
But what they missed out was the if bit.
Of course
if he ducks Usyk, when he was boxing Usyk, so he wasn't ducking him. So I think what it was the YouTube out.
Everyone had the same opinion though, didn't they, at the time? Like they were thinking, why is he fighting Ngannou and not Usyk? But if the Usyk fight was planned like it was afterwards, then it's all good.
It was the YouTube outlets that were the people that were responsible for it because they were picking out certain individual bits that Simon had said.
Yeah.
And presenting it to Tyson, and Tyson not doing his homework on what was really said,
and seeing
reacted to it. And I think that was where the problem is.
Do better is the argument. Yeah. Do better. If you don't like what someone said, and it's not fair, hold them to that standard and make them account for it, and deal with them in an argument.
Yeah.
And deal with them by putting them in their place. And everyone that said anything that's wrong in their eyes should be able to be dealt with. Anyway, banned we are, and we'll see if that manifests itself.
Well, we done the undercard, to be fair. We went the following day to the undercard.
Sure, and that has its own merits, but the fact of the matter is that the headline is Fury versus Usyk, or Usyk versus Fury, as it should be this time round.
Cracking undercard, though.
Yeah, great undercard. Absolutely great set of fights. And another monumental event. But when you look at the two fighters, I mean, I thought we looked like Charles Bronson out of the film Bronson. You know that Bronson, with that Tom Hardy played the character Bronson, rather than Agent 47. But when you looked at the two of them, I mean, I think Frank was talking about how Tyson looks and physically how he's prepared, and now we've got into a different set of circumstances that he's already prepared, and now he's going into a mindset of really being prepared for this fight. How do you think the fighters both looked?
They looked great. Both of them, I think there's mutual respect there in this build-up, and there will be because of what they've both been through. They both understand exactly what it is. They both know what they're going into next. And I think Tyson played the right card there by not going in there and insulting Usyk and saying it was the easiest fight, actually. I couldn't believe how easy it was, even though he lost the fight. I think he went in there and there was sort of you could feel the mutual respect between the two.
Be ridiculous for him not to, will he? And he's also changed his shtick, hasn't he? Because he said in the last 2 or 3 months that he's won this fight. In the presser, he conceded the fact that, albeit the narrowest of margins in his mind, he's now conceded the fact that he actually lost the fight. So that's a different approach.
He has to, doesn't he? He has to get his head around the fact that there's a red stain against his record, whether he wants it there or not. It's about picking yourself up, and this is now do or die for Tyson. He has to win the rematch, doesn't he, against Usyk? I thought they both looked like good. They didn't. Usyk dressed as a psychotic hitman, and Tyson Fury was he was himself, but he wasn't like being sarcastic as what he would normally be and a bit more bullish. He was just like, he's ready for the rematch. Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, it wasn't a press conference that caught light. It's very difficult to have a press conference when people are being monosyllabic. I don't see the purpose of it. If you're going to do a press conference, it's because you want to create.
Yeah,
the fight
absolutely.
itself sells itself. But if you're going to put the two major protagonists in there, you want a little bit more than yes, no, no, yes,
100%.
and a bit of facetiousness going on.
I think the promoters probably.
But that's always going to come from Tyson Fury's side. Oleksandr Usyk, that's his character anyway. You'll get a no, yes, and a feel maybe,
Yeah.
and that's all you're going to get from him. But it was interesting, Oleksandr Usyk actually going up and getting Tyson Fury. So he started the mind games already by getting Tyson Fury to sign the picture of him smacking Fury before he went down in that ninth round.
Yeah.
That was interesting doing that, and Fury not taking the bait and signing the picture.
I mean, does he strike you as a sort of person, Usyk, that plays mind games?
No, he doesn't allow anyone to play mind games with him. Yeah. I think that there's a certain element of Oleksandr Usyk that will play mind games. I'll go back to when he boxed Tony Bellew. Now, when he boxed Bellew in the build-up to that one, he was clowning around a lot, and there was a lot of mind games and a lot of like
putting
weird
his
eyes and head over the top and stuff like that. And that was playing mind games. Like he does, like there's a jokey side to it, but he knows exactly what he's doing. He's very smart in the way he does it.
What do you think about a lot of noise in the corner for Tyson Fury in the first fight, and now we seem to have similar participants? Does Sugar Hill still merit being in Tyson Fury's corner?
100%.
The absence of John Fury,
He's
and
good.
a lot of was made about that. Do you think
good.
that's a good thing?
Yeah, because it's too much noise that comes from John Fury. I think Sugar Hill and Andy Lee are great students of the game. They understand the game. They're two good voices that you need in there. They'll understand when to be loud and when to pull it back and be calm. They're the two voices you need in the corner. John Fury is very loud and brash, and that maybe you don't need that.
Because Daniel Dubois' father is quite vociferous and was summoned into certain
different
situations.
character, though.
It's a different character. I mean, listen, John Fury pulled me up about it at the Joshua fight. He wasn't happy with my comments about.
What did you say?
I said that there was too many voices in Tyson's corner. I think having three voices all bellowing instructions at you is not good for anyone. That's just my opinion. You're more qualified than me, Spencer, to give your opinion on that. But I just thought that he needs Sugar Hill there and Andy Lee. His dad can be around because he's his dad. Listen, what everyone thinks about John Fury wants his son to win, right? But shouting different instructions to your son in front of Sugar Hill, who is the main trainer.
Taking over is a problem.
Yeah, exactly. Emotions. It's like when my dad used to watch me play football not very well. He would shout instructions at me that you probably shouldn't say. Do you know? It's a hard one. But I wasn't saying that John Fury shouldn't be anywhere near Tyson. I just don't think he should be in the corner. That's my opinion. My opinion won't change on that. I think he should have Andy Lee in there, a cup man, and Sugar Hill. That's all he needs. And someone to put the stool in the ring.
I also think it's a smart move by Tyson Fury not changing the corner, by the way. I think that they're both educated enough to make those slight adjustments. There doesn't need to be a big change. It wasn't like a one-sided landslide victory for Oleksandr Usyk. Tyson Fury never got knocked out and he had to make these major changes.
Close to being knocked out.
Yeah, absolutely. But he got through it as well,
someone suggested the referee saved him in the ninth round.
But he also got through it. This is what I'm saying. What I'm saying is there doesn't need to be major changes in the corner. There needs to be changes from Tyson Fury in his performance.
Okay, so is he going to make? Because he said he's not going to. He said on an interview with TNT that he doesn't have any adjustments to make. You've mentioned adjustments and not having adjustments in the same breath. No. Is he going to have to make adjustments?
You never know with Tyson, do you? Because Tyson says one thing and then does the other the following day. You never know. But I agree with Spence. I think that he should keep the Andy Lee and the Sugar Hill, because at 30, what is Tyson now? He's a year older than me, so he's 36.
Yeah,
he's 36 years old. We're going to teach Tyson about boxing now. He knows what he has to do, and I think he was performing well in the fight. And then it kind of got away from him. Usyk was closing the distance down, and he was landing cleaner shots on him. And then ultimately, as you say, he was close to being stopped. But in a fight,
because the big question going into the fight, wasn't there, and it was being mooted in certain quarters, was that there was a feeling that Fury stands in the middle of the ring now and goes toe-to-toe with people because he doesn't have the ability anatomically anymore to be able to do the things that he once did. By that I mean, in plain speaking English, he can't move like he used to. Is that,
when you go back to like...
Is that true?
Or do you think that's 2015, when he beat Klitschko, there was a lot of movement, he was light on his feet. Of course, as you get older, you have to make those adjustments. We saw that with Floyd Mayweather later on in his career. And I think for Fury, going into this one, the more I've been thinking about this one, we're talking about him having to go in there and bully him and close the space. That's what Usyk deals with, though. He'll move all day, and that's probably playing into Usyk's
Just
hands.
needs to use his attributes. He's very long. He's got longer arms than him, and he should just do what he does.
He needs to allow Usyk actually to come into his space.
Yeah.
And do you know what I mean? So really, I think that by holding his ground and being that's probably the only way that he will beat him. Because I think that by going in there and trying to forcefully push the fight, Usyk will outsmart him on the back foot, because I think that's what he does so well.
Well, Usyk knows now, doesn't he, as a matter of course, that he can hurt Tyson Fury.
Yeah.
And do we see, I mean, Fury fought Wilder 2 in a way that most people thought that he couldn't fight him, which was stand in the middle of the ring because he felt his power in the first fight and take him on fire meeting fire.
He bullied the bully.
And he bullied the bully.
Yeah.
Does it require that sort of performance against Usyk, and has he got it left in him to do if it does?
I think, I think with Oleksandr Usyk, actually, where I thought he actually needs to go in there and close that space and bully him, I think that tactically that wouldn't be the right move now, because thinking about it, I think that by Fury just holding his ground and allowing Usyk to come into his space when he has to, and then firing with Usyk, that's probably the best tactics for him, catching him as opposed to chasing him and getting caught on the way in when you feel the punches twice as hard as well. So I think that actually it's not about bullying him, using his size and all that, because that ain't going to work.
Tyson did hurt him to the body a few times, especially in the early rounds. He was hurting Usyk to the body a lot. So I think that they will look into that and think that this could be.
But that's what they've all said about Usyk, haven't they? I mean, Frank Warren made a big stock out of the damage that Dubois did, and we obviously saw the damage.
I still think that was a legitimate dig from Danny.
It was legitimate.
I still think it was.
I was at ringside, mate. I don't care what people say. That shot was legitimate.
You see it. Listen, it's another subject, but you see it all the time.
What did you take from the press conference? Anyway,
nothing. Thought it was a waste of time.
What did you? Yeah, but I mean, you must have sensed something from the body language of the pair of them.
Nothing.
You can see there was a lot of respect there.
I didn't expect anything different from Tyson Fury, because it's going to be difficult to go into an auditorium and start saying rabbit and middleweight and all that sort of stuff, because you've already lost to the fella. You've nearly been knocked on your backside by him.
He got out the car, didn't he? And he asked him, "Are you ready for the fight?" And he went, "Nope." It's just Tyson being like Tyson knows, like you say, he has to go there a bit. His demeanour was different.
And I think it needed to be. I mean, I think the Tyson Fury that was talking about needing to be treated as a national treasure and not have to queue at airports and be given tax concessions for all the benefits he brought into this country was just nonsense, and it needed a bit of levelling. I still picked him to win that fight, and for whatever reason, and it might just be because I actually want him to win, despite his attitude towards me.
What do you think he needs to do differently in this fight yourself? Like, I'll just give you the breakdown of what I feel now. Actually, more I thought about it, where I thought he had to go on the front foot, now I'm thinking, no, actually let him come into your space. That's probably going to get more success. What do you think?
I think he's got to do some of the things that you've said. I think he's got to use his size and his weight. He's got to lean all over Usyk and make it a difficult fight for Usyk and use the strength that he's got.
Yeah, make it a bit more of a messy affair.
Yeah.
Bully him a little bit.
I think you've got to bully him. If you're 6'9" and weigh 20, whatever how much you weigh, 23 stone, and you're fighting someone that's 6'1", 6'2", that weighs 16 stone, what do you think they've got to do? Well, they're going to have to do some of that, aren't they?
Absolutely, of course you have. But I think that Usyk is the master of using that lack of height and that lack of weight to his advantage. You know, that he's. He
uses his size against him.
Yeah, absolutely.
It is a puzzle for him, though, isn't it? It is a puzzle for him because arguably, this is the first time that Fury's been in a ring with a better boxer than him, potentially.
And the pressure's kind of like, do you know when you've lost as well? Like, I'm not saying
I agree with that, totally.
The pressure's kind of like he's lost. So Tyson will probably go in there thinking that people are probably expecting him to lose again. So he'll go in there with, you say he had a lot. He's had some issues out the ring before the fight. He's going there with maybe a fresher mind.
Well, you bring that up, and I think it's important to make this point because I don't think anyone sought to make it a discussion point before the previous fight. But going into this fight against Usyk, and we hear some of the noise about rabbit and ugly and middleweight and all that stuff, and we lose context when you hear other aspects of he had a cut before this fight, and then you hear the human tragedy of his wife miscarrying at a difficult stage for him, for her, of course. These are things that need to be priced in because if you have children, I have children,
100,
and then you have you lose a child, it is a very difficult mindset to be prepared for battle on.
I've got to say,
his wife Paris comes to all of his fights, so for her to not go there and obviously to give him that news over a phone before his fight, I don't care what kind of person you are, that's going to mess with you.
I've got to tell you
badly
with what a fighter goes through in a build-up to a fight with the psychological stuff and everything else that goes with that.
Pressures.
Because the pressures building up to the fight of that magnitude as well, and then being told that the day before the fight, I'd go respect to Tyson Fury for dealing with that because that is a serious head.
I mean,
and you've got to respect that.
Of course it is. I mean, in any sport, any individual sport, not just combat sports, if you have a distraction of some significant
Even
situation,
if you're at work at a 9-to-5 job, if you got that,
you can't have
let
it.
alone going there and having a scrap with the whole world looking at you.
It changes your mindset, though.
Absolutely.
Like from a fighter's perspective, it changes their mindset as into like. So now he's got a game plan. He's going in there with a game plan. The team have been working on it. He's angry. He's upset. He's got all these emotions running through his head.
Yeah.
He goes in there and he will perform differently. That is a fact. And you know that may be a telling point in that fight.
His mind will be elsewhere.
You know, all of those things will have affected the outcome. He now has an opportunity, and I'm glad that he's taken it, because there was debate at some point that he might not take it, to go and potentially right this wrong in his mind.
Respect to him, by the way, for not bringing that up after the fight or whatever. I think that you know, it's something that he wanted to keep private. You've got to respect that.
That's right.
And listen, the British boxing fan in me that I am, I want Tyson Fury to win this fight so bad, because I still want to see AJ Joshua. I'm so desperate to see that fight.
Well, again,
I think actually AJ versus Tyson Fury happens if Fury loses this fight.